there's this really nice white fairy lights and everything, and then there's this blue sort of.
Yeah, but that's the unseen.
That's true.
It's
That's true.
beautiful. It's
The mysteries
beautiful.
of things. Yeah.
It is
So
the mysteries of things.
good.
So, welcome everybody to, for me, it's Hearts Connected Conversation with the lovely Nuin of Hear the Tree Fall. And because we're going to put this on both of our platforms, we are late night with Nuin and Kaz.
Yeah.
Late night radio. We were having a joke about that earlier, weren't we?
We have these conversations anyway, so it's just that now we're recording them because we
Yeah.
realise that loads of people, you can pull something out of it that's for them.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of how we came up with it, of let's do this.
Yeah.
And see what happens. So
Let's
what's going
do
on
it.
with you at the moment?
Well, actually, I'll share the little story that I was just telling you about. So you might notice that I've got a scratch across my neck.
Yeah. You've been trying to do something.
No. Well, earlier I was clearing some stuff around, and out of the shed I was getting some things. I've got a guest visiting next week, so I was getting some.
Really?
I have. And I was getting some stuff out of the shed, and I felt a tickle on my neck, and it was a grasshopper.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm sharing this because of there's signs everywhere. There's signs and synchronicities. We always look at the numbers, don't we, and all of that. We see and pay attention to the signs and stuff everywhere. So I went like that. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, we're kind of the ones who go, ooh, butterfly, right? Okay, that means
Yeah.
And we start reeling it off.
Yeah,
we get proved right every time.
Not Peter Kay with the packet of quavers going across.
No.
Grandma's grave.
You love quavers.
So I felt something tickle my neck, and I went like this, but I had something else in my hand, but it was a grasshopper. So I was like, oh my God, but I didn't realise until afterwards that I'd hurt my neck. But so the grasshopper was just there, and I was like, wow, how bizarre. A grasshopper was in the stuff that I was getting out of the shed.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I'll look at that. I've just noticed the time is 22:22.
Yeah.
As I'm telling my story. So for what, there was a couple of things that sort of came up for me as all of this was happening. For one, you can see I'm wearing my turquoise this evening, which is to do with throat chakra and speaking your truth. I've just organised a workshop for tomorrow that was about speaking your truth. And I thought, how funny that I've got a scratch across my neck. I didn't see that until later on.
Yeah.
That's throat chakra area that's drawing attention to here. So I was thinking, oh, okay, what's that about? So I'm thinking, is it maybe perhaps a little bit of fear for myself, or just a little sign to pay attention, or to put my turquoise on, because I was still in my scruffs earlier. And then I thought, right, let's look up the meaning of grasshopper, which is really interesting. And this is where I need to put my glasses on for a minute.
You're showing your age now, Caroline.
I am. And this is what I found, and just thought it was a really nice thing to share, because just to show that there's signs in everything, but also personally for me, it's really, and for the conversation that we're having, and to do with the workshop that we were planning for tomorrow, it all ties in really nicely. So it's pay attention to signs. Okay, so grasshopper, in this case, grasshopper symbolism is asking you to take a leap of faith. Similar to the black horse, the grasshopper meaning insists that you must go ahead and do it. You do not have to know the outcome. Usually this is something that you have avoided doing and is part of a large-scale change in direction. The shift can be an adjustment in a relationship, advance in a career, or a transition within yourself. Grasshopper symbolism also means that you have the wisdom that you need. Right now you can get past any obstacles in an efficient manner. With this spirit animal, for the most part, all possible outcomes will be positive. So how beautiful is that?
It is,
And
and the thing is, it's that thing of like, it's a bit like the Indiana Jones thing of like there's a bridge there but nobody can see it, and then he puts the sand over it, and then actually the bridge is there, and you just have to take that footstep onto it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
having it's not actually faith, it's trust.
yeah,
It's trusting yourself and trusting the universe, and
yeah,
all that sort of thing. And
it
and
is.
when we don't trust, we're not trusting ourselves, in effect.
Exactly. And noticing the signs too.
Yeah,
That excuse me, things are happening for a reason.
they
Um,
always do.
exactly, exactly. And so it just says about the, so if somebody might have the totem animal, spirit animal, I don't, there's certain animals that resonate for me at different times, and it's always the butterflies, the robins, all of
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I've got a personal connection, but I always pay attention to crows as well. Um,
Mm.
but pay attention to what's, the other things that I see as well. So somebody who may see a grasshopper, it just goes on to say, or have it as a totem. People with the grasshopper totem are innovative, forward thinkers that rarely miss an opportunity to move forward, just as you've just said.
Mm-hmm.
They are always successful in any venture that they undertake. Folks with this spirit animal also know how to use their instincts to capture the exact moment that will give them the most significant benefit. They are benevolent and enjoy giving to others. Furthermore, they rarely stay in one place very long. Like the osprey, they always seek out the best opportunities to move forward. So, how beautiful is that with our
Absolutely
conversations
perfect.
and moving
Yeah.
forward with what we're doing? It's all very aligned for me. So, I thought, well, if it's aligned for me, it's going to be aligned for someone else too.
Yeah, I've
So,
got the owl, the hare, and the wolf. So
oh, yeah, yeah,
I always spot them anywhere. Not that
yeah.
we've got any wolves in Scotland, but
Do, do you want to
um,
elaborate what they mean for you? So that
uh,
somebody who's watching might be really interested in that.
yeah, the hare is like, well, most people see it as being fertility and things like that, but for me, the hare is, because hares will run in a straight line, and then they'll look for a gate opening, and they normally won't go into like a hedgerow and go underneath that. They'll actually go for a gate opening. So they're looking for the biggest and widest opening that they can then go through, but they've got some power in their back legs, and I mean their eyes are based for them being prey. So they're on the sides, they can look backwards if you like,
Mm.
and they've got these huge big ears, so they can hear really really well. And then the whiskers twitch, so it's they pick up all these different senses.
Mm.
So, and I love seeing them when it's called boxing hares, whenever they're about,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
watch them sort of having a go at each
They
other.
have
And you're
that in
like,
the moonlight, don't they, a lot?
yeah, they do.
Mm.
It's fab watching them, and in pagan culture, it's actually the hares that have the eggs because
Mm.
it's to do with fertility.
Yeah,
So that's how you got the Easter Bunny,
yeah.
in a roundabout way. That's how that came about. So yeah, the hare for me is kind of like, it's knowing how to be with the seasons. So it's the light and the dark year. So
Mm.
in the light part of the year, you go out and you do things. The dark part of the year, you kind of hunker down a little bit and go, well, I need to go inside for a little bit, and I need to look after myself. So hares are pretty good at looking after themselves, much more so than the rabbit. So hares are pretty good at, and I love the fact they've got these big long back legs, that are really really
Yeah.
powerful when you see them running about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the hair means quite a lot to me, and the fur is so soft, so incredibly soft.
There's a wisdom
Um,
with them as well, isn't there?
there is, yeah, they've got, they are really connected to Earth. The thing is, and I'm not a big Earth person,
Mm.
because mine's is water and ether,
Water.
or space, if you want to call it that. So that's my two. The one that I'm not overly keen on, but I can use, is fire. When I see fire people, they're like here, there, and everywhere all the time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, oh, would you just stand still for a bit? It's like, but hares are a bit like that, because they'll dart and move, and they'll turn on a sixpence, going along. So that's the other thing, is hares don't think twice about going back over their own steps.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we have to do a U-turn, we think, oh God, I've failed, and I really shouldn't have failed. But when we do that U-turn, we realize that we'd forgotten some things, or we hadn't picked up the things that we needed to. So we have to kind of go back over it, but in reverse.
Yeah.
And then we can go and take another tack from there. But it's always the opportunity to take whatever route we find is going to work for us. So that's, for me, that's the hare.
Yeah.
The owl, well,
and the cycles as well. The cycles of what you just said, and backtracking, maybe sometimes we repeat a cycle, don't we? Because we have to get the gem.
Yeah.
And because we haven't got there yet.
There's a time for everything, and you'll get that feeling inside you when you go. I mean, you and I have both spoken about this before, that, you know, we've tried and tried and tried different things. We know it's going to work, but we just couldn't get it to work, and it's because it wasn't the right time. So we were ahead of time, and then we couldn't get it to really sort of come in, and now everything's just going bang 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 bang, you know, and it's all sort of like a domino effect, all going, okay, now it's the universe being your personal genie going, yes, now's the time.
That's,
you know,
why you needed to rest a little while ago, because now I'm bloody knackered. Because it's like, go, you know? go.
And I've no doubt we're going to get days in the future where we're just like, no, do you know what? It's I can't be bothered day. You know,
self-care is
very
ultimate.
much so.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you need to take that nap, take that nap if you can. You know, I know a lot of people are in a position that they can't do that, but if you can, just do it. You know, be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
So the hair means a lot. The owl, lots of wisdom there. And we were doing one tonight in Sarah Somatics, and we had to do this twist, and then she got us to stand up, and I found that I could twist kind of all the way around and keep going. You know, as I was doing it, and I'm going, I'm the owl, I can do that. I just wanted to go twit as I was going around, you know. So, but I've had owls here for years, and one of them used to come and sit on my washing line, and used to just literally sit there and look at me, you know, and then it would spend some time, and then I would do the communication bit with it, and then it would go off, you know, and that was fine. But I love that they're twilight animals. You know, they really are twilight. That's when you really get to spot them. And silent as well, because if you muck about with an owl, or anybody who's got an owl, you won't hear them coming, because they'll hit you. They really will. Just out of the blue, they'll just hit you. But they're just gorgeous animals.
And eyes and senses. Again, and you know, that's that connection,
tiny,
isn't it?
Cute beaks as well. I mean, there's nothing cute about me, but you know, an owl definitely is. There's a lovely, cute little beak, and then you get so many different types of owl as well. I got a friend who sent me owl feathers to make some to do with shamanic tools, and I absolutely love them, because I'd always used like a dagger for that, and for the purposes of. And it's quite a kind of, I've always felt it was like, it's necessary, but it was always quite a kind of aggressive thing to have.
Yeah.
And then getting the two feathers, and I put them together, and I bound them together, and I put crystals in with them as well. And using that instead, it literally, you've stood there with them. It makes you want to do this, and put your arms out and start flying, you know, and I love that about them.
Yeah. But what was that with the feathers and the crystals for somebody who might be watching? Is that what do you do that for, Nuin?
That's predominantly for cutting cords. So there is other things that we do with it as well, but predominantly that's what we use it for. So we have, whenever you do, you know, it doesn't matter whether you've learnt shamanism in South America or North America or in Norway, or because there are shamans in Norway, and there's one guy there that makes people wait 3 weeks outside before he even talks to them. And I get why, because everybody thinks that, you know, a shaman should be passing on what they're learning. And yeah, we do to an extent, but it's also the thing of, you have to be in the right place. And I don't just mean as in geographically, but the right place within yourself.
To receive.
And if you think, and if you think I should have, then you're not in the right place. And because the vast majority of shamans' work isn't about other people, it's about the earth, it's about the other living beings that have no voice. You know, it's about linking everything together through the universe and helping that flow. And you know, there's loads and loads of work that gets done with that nobody ever knows about. They don't have a clue that it goes on. So yeah, on the shaman side of things, we learn how to use tools to begin with. And we start off with them, and you get to know the feel of them, and they're your tools, you've made them predominantly. And then you know how they feel. So you've got your drum, or you know, you have your bag that you have everything in, you know the feel of it. And then eventually you get to the stage where you don't actually need to have those tools, because you remember the feel. So you can do it wherever you are. And it turns into kind of like hand signals, if you like. So you know how that feels. So if you're holding a dagger, you know that you hold it point down sort of thing, and you do that, and then it becomes a signal as a sigil and a signal as you're doing it. And then you get to the point where that gets less and less, whereby you realise that all you do is think about it, and it happens.
And it's your own way, isn't it?
It is. Everybody's
it's an individual.
I haven't met two shamans that are the same at all, but the same as I haven't met two sages or seers or magi that are the same. You know, they're all completely different, and they should be. You know, it's your own unique way of doing something.
All human beings. We're all Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
How did we get
human
onto that
beings,
one?
not human doings. Yeah.
Human beings, yeah. Do we
Human
have to
doings.
do things? Yeah. Keep sitting there going, I want to play smart. I don't work hard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
We say that a
it's
lot at the moment, don't we?
yeah. But
And that
what's
also
that?
ties into the animal totems and stuff as well, and the synchronicities, because it's all the connections, isn't it? It's all of the the individual way in which we um, it, move
Yeah.
through the world.
It's knowing that we are all connected,
Yeah.
but not in the way that some people put it of we're all connected, you know, how they
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
put it. And you know, you must do as everybody. That it doesn't work.
No.
You are a unique being, you're a unique life spark. And how you express yourself through your soul facets is up to you.
Mm.
Now, are you going to get everything right? No. You know, it's as simple as that. We are going to get things wrong, but it's not the case of getting it wrong. I mean, you hope that you don't cause any harm or cause any loss, and that you're truthful about it. But that's the other thing that's missing, or has been missing up until sort of recently. People haven't been truthful with themselves, you know, and never mind anybody else. You know,
Mm.
looking at themselves in the mirror. You know, where do I want to be? How do I want to be? And the most, what might seem the most outrageous dream or idea of how they want to be is actually the right one, but they just haven't had the courage, or you know, whatever. They also haven't asked in the opportunities to go and do that thing.
No.
But over, probably I'd say since about the 1960s, you get more and more people who are just going, do you know what, I'm just going to go and do my thing. And they get looked at as though there's something wrong with them. You know, there's that huge judgment that comes on them. And I always used to think, they're fab, you know, they wear these zany clothes, and
Yeah.
they don't really care what anybody thinks
Yeah.
about them. They're happy in themselves, and
Yeah.
they play in puddles. You know, I always look at people who play in puddles. My mum's 71 and she still plays in puddles with her welly boots on.
Yeah.
You know, what
Yeah.
difference does it make what age you are? You
No.
know, you should still have that enjoyment, you know,
Yeah.
that you get from every living thing that's around you.
It's the childlike wonder, isn't it? We spoke about this yesterday as well with the girls of, you know, all of us. We've the programming, the the judgments that we place on ourselves. It's the hardest thing to look in the mirror and actually look and see, you know, your soul, who you are. Because, you know, we don't even give ourselves time to do that, do we? You know, now is and self-care and all of that is so important, but it's that, you know, connection to our inner child, and that wonder of and the unseen and the unknown, and oh my gosh, you know, we've lost all of that and been, again, I spoke about this yesterday, is, you know, being put in boxes.
Yeah.
I felt
And
like we need to stay.
when's the last time somebody, you know, if somebody's listening to this or watching this, when's the last time you actually lay down in the grass and just watch the clouds go by? You know, when's the last time you made a daisy chain?
Yeah.
You know, when's the last time you actually climbed a tree? You know, ask the tree first, obviously, but you know, there's no reason why you can't climb a tree as long as you've asked it.
Yeah.
You know, or just sat down in a forest and been part of that natural Wi-Fi rather than the Wi-Fi that's supposedly been given to us. You know.
Yeah.
And it's the people have been kind of caught up in asking permission. You know, and whenever they get told, "Oh, you're told to do something like that," who says? You know, and I used to have the answer to them of like, are we going off my physical body age? Are we going off my soul age? Are we going off my life sparks age? Which one would you like to take? Because one's thousands, one's millions, the only vote. It's up to you, you know, which way.
Yeah.
And this sort of, oh, just act your age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we come with a manual that says?
I imagine you get this expression a lot. What?
Yeah. Yeah. I have that bad habit of firing a question back at people whenever they make a statement in judgment. And it's like, you know, I don't mind anybody having an opinion. Your opinion is your own. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But whenever someone judges somebody, that's like, well, hang on a second, you're assuming authority over them. And that I just can't subscribe to, because that's taking something from somebody else, and that's theft. You know, and I try hard not to thieve off any other being if I can. I know it does happen because of the society we live in at the moment. But it's also that balance of things as well. So, you know, it's seeing how that works together. Some people don't believe in reincarnation or rebirth. So you have life, death, and rebirth. And it's funny how that's been turned around as well. They do the thing of it's birth, life, and death. And now they're trying to get everybody to sort of like live forever. That's the main aim. We want to live forever and be healthy while we're doing it. So yeah,
It's still very linear in that sense, though,
very
isn't
linear.
it? You know, that we're not expanding into the truth of who we are here.
Yeah.
It's the living forever in the way of looking younger and being, you know,
Yeah, what is this
very
thing?
technical.
I really struggled with it when I was younger. You know, did I enjoy putting makeup on? Not particularly, because it was like putting a mask on. You know, I already have a mask that I have to portray to the world to get by, you know, as a young person. And then I was getting asked to put another mask on as well, you know, so I never really took to that. I like getting my nails done. But then I chose a profession that I wasn't allowed to have long nails, and I couldn't have them done up.
Yeah.
So that was a bad move, wasn't it? You know, came out of that one and went, yeah, okay. First thing I did was paint my nails, you know, and let them grow long.
Because you've worked in the system, haven't you? You've worked in in hospitals and
I was
various
a qualified,
places like
well,
that.
still am a qualified nurse. So I'm just no longer registered because I don't want to be registered. I don't want to be associated with it anymore, to be honest.
And maybe that's a conversation we'll come back to next time, because
that's a big one. That's a really big one. But yeah, people seem to have this thing of like trying to tell each other what to do and how to be. And I was never one of those, you know, young people who followed everybody else fashion wise. I always did my own thing. You know, my mum bought me kickers. You remember the kicker shoes?
Yeah.
And I had, you know, the left and right had a green or a red dot on them, you know, Star Wars sort of thing. And everybody laughed at me at school when I walked in with these kickers. But the very next year, pods came out, which was a cheaper version, and they were all wearing pods. And I'm like, well, I was wearing them a year before you. So I was like, no, it's
always
not the same
ahead,
thing.
always ahead of the curve, Nuin.
Well,
I had these massive blocky things. Remember going to school, and I just wanted a little pair of, you know, the pointy shoes with the little pin heel. That was in the 80s. The little kitten heels. I just wanted some of those. Desperately wanted some of those. And my mum, you know, she's single mum, did an amazing job. But bought me these shoes that had, and these days they would be really trendy, and actually, you know, they were really actually quite cool, but at the time, no, they had this big block heel, and they're like almost like a square toe, quite high. And I remember I went over on my ankle in them, but I remember just feeling so ashamed going to school. And, you know, even then as a child, the judgments of not fitting in, not being the cool thing, and the cool kid, even, you know.
I was well out in that one, because I was in the top 3 in the class most of the time, if not nearly all the time. And I was tall, so I was taller than all the boys as well. I had long blonde hair and blue eyes, you know. I was pretty smart. I spoke different languages. I liked reading books, you know. No, that was not cool. That was definitely not cool. You know, but I found out years ago I got bullied horrendously at school, both at primary school and at secondary school, and even to the point where they actually fractured my legs. You know,
oh my gosh,
at points as well. Yeah, which I didn't find out until years later, because I'd walking around on it. Just, you put up with the pain, you don't want to tell anybody, especially not my mum, because mum would have gone down through the school with a ton of bricks, and that's the last thing you want as a child. But yeah, it was.
So years... you didn't realise until years later that you'd been bullied, or that they were broken?
No, I knew I'd been bullied, but I didn't know that my legs had been fractured.
So
I had tiny fractures down the front of my legs, and it wasn't until an x-ray was taken of it, and the doctor turned around to me and went, what fight were you in? I said, I don't get in fights. And he says, no, you've been in some sort of fight. And he showed me the x-ray, and I went, oh, that's probably when I was bullied, because he would deliberately stamp on my shins.
My God.
And I think it was to do with me being tall, you know, but I don't know. I don't know what goes through a bully's mind. But yeah, it wasn't until years after that, and probably going on about 18 years ago now. And one of those bullies, they happened to find me on Facebook, and I kind of did that, kind of thing. I'm not too sure about that. And I happened to put a post up about bullying. And she came back to me and she says, I am so sorry that we bullied you. But she showed me through her eyes how she saw me, which was, I had beautiful long blonde hair. This is how she saw me, not how I saw myself. But you had beautiful long blonde hair, you were so tall, you were incredibly intelligent, you had everything going for you, and you were just flawless. I never felt flawless at all. You know, all I could do all the time was go, oh, I've got a huge big leather bag from Greece, and everybody's going to tease me for that, and you know, all these different bits that we think about. But it shows you how people see each other in different ways.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like with the hoo-ha that you I referred to it as the hoo-ha now because of you.
It's a better name for it. Yeah.
It is. But with the perceptions of, you know, how we see ourselves, how we see, you know, it depends on our own individual journey, and our, you know, there's so many different factors to, you know, our chosen experience, what we're creating, the things, the external things as children, the programming.
We don't. If I'd have been told whenever I was younger that I could manifest whatever I wanted to, you know, I would have, you know, I wouldn't have had a go at those people. I wouldn't have, you know, I don't want to wish anybody harm. No. Defend myself, yeah, absolutely, but I wouldn't have got to that stage because I was quite happy doing art, you know, and sculpting and things like that, you know. So leave me be doing that. And this is the thing about it at the moment with choices, you know, it's you do you, I'll do me, you know, and as long as you're not harming me and causing me any loss, or, you know, being truthful, and I'm doing the same, what does it matter? You know, I might not agree with you, you know, and we've had things where we don't agree, you and I. But we have respect for one another, that's your choice, or that's my choice, and that's how we go about it. This is the bit of, I would call it adulting, if there is such a word. But I think it's more just being, you know, rather than sort of like sitting there saying to people, you've got to be this way, or you've got to be that way, you've got to adhere to this, you've got to adhere to that. And you know, have you had it flung at you where people sit there and go, oh well, society won't work if we don't all do the same thing? And it's like, well, what sort of society is that?
Indirectly more. Indirectly. This is the other thing, isn't it? Is that people are, with the social media and everything, it's all very well sat behind a screen, but if you're having an actual conversation, you know, with these judgments and with these, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. We don't know what it's like to walk in another one's shoes. You know, or to try, you know, what their choices and decisions are, and what they're, you know, we're not in any place to judge anyone else for whatever it is that they're doing. You know, all you can do is share your own experiences, and, you know, who knows what's the right decision or choice for another.
I absolutely love it when you get that, you know, that judgmental look off people, you know, because I mean, I used to, you know, before I became an artist, I was in business. And I used to wear power suits and all that sort of thing, you know. And
Dynasty and Dallas.
Well, not quite with that big a shoulder pads, but yeah, you know. And I never felt particularly comfortable in them. That was the funny thing.
No.
You know, and then when I got more and more towards, instead of living two lives, which is what I'd done effectively, I'd lived the life of, you know, during the day doing what everybody expected of me, being a good little girl in society and all that sort of thing, and then come home at night and do my shaman practices and sage practices and druid practices and everything else, you know, they're all interlinked together, you know. And that was a totally different me, and you know, I would kind of split in some ways, and then come the morning, you know, you've got 20 minutes to then put all the nighttime stuff away, you know, in your head, and then walk out the door and be, yes, here I am, this is, you know, and you know, I'm in business and I can sell you anything and whatever. And I just
different hats.
I just didn't feel comfortable with it at all.
That's almost like the timelines as they are. We'll come back to that in a minute, because that just came to me as you're talking. That's almost like the timeline split that's happening.
Converging and diverging.
Of you know, being different. You know, putting your different hats on in the different roles, and we're there, but with the opportunity to just be who we are, integrate it all. We're all parts. We're all parts of it, and just being authentically us in whatever we're doing. You know, without fear of judgment, without judging ourselves, without, you know. So anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're all right. It's good. That's what conversation's about. It's the thing that goes off in tangents and goes all over the place. It's fab. But yeah, whenever I sort of like, because I was ill, you know, I was ill for I've been ill since, sort of thing, because of the diagnosis, but I spent 2 years in bed not being able to move. So whenever I came back out of it, I just went, you know what, I'm just not adhering to all this bunkum, you know, so I wear the clothes that I want to wear. I can't find the clothes that I would really like to wear, because nobody makes them yet. So if anybody's out there who's, you know, makes clothes for tall women, just because, you know, we're a bigger size does not mean that we're short, fat and dumpy.
You can't see she's sat down, but she's tall.
It's
well, how tall are you? You're
I'm 5 foot. I'm just over 5'10".
Yeah, there you go.
And most people do that thing of hi when they meet you. And it's like, yeah, but it's like I shouldn't have to bow down all the time, just because everybody's short, But yeah,
Or scrunch when you wear a skirt.
oh,
A long
don't,
skirt so that it
yeah.
looks longer.
I used to wear beautiful, really sort of like clinging skirts with the little fishtails at the back and front sort of thing. And God knows how I managed to walk in them. I have no idea how I managed to walk in them. But apparently I looked good. But hey ho,
Yeah.
you don't see yourself when you're walking along the street, do you?
No, you don't. And actually, going back to the pin heel shoes that I wanted, I actually got a pair and couldn't walk in them either.
See, now,
actually, the big block heels were much better.
Yeah, see, I absolutely love my kitten heels.
Yeah,
but
they were cool.
I can't walk in any of them anymore. I used to walk in 6-inch stilettos, no problem. I used to run in them.
Yeah, wow.
And now, not a chance.
That's some mean feet, that.
Yeah, well, when
hammer on the feet.
I was going to say, when someone's chasing you, you tend to run quite quick, no matter what you've got on your feet. But yeah, we used to do all sorts of things, and we think about the fashions and stuff like that. But then I got to this thing of like, I don't want to get dressed up for anybody. If I am going to get dressed up, I have 3 people around me. And that's my husband and my mum and my dad. We don't all live together. I mean, my husband and I do, but my parents live in their own house. Those 3, right, they can put on sackcloth and ashes and they look absolutely perfect going out the door. I mean, not a thing out of place. They just put stuff on and it just fits them perfectly and they just look wow, right? Very smart and everything else. Me, put the nicest thing on me and it can cost a fortune and I still look like absolute pumpkin.
Yeah, but that's your really perception of you.
Oh. I just look at myself and I just go, nope. And I don't feel comfortable in it. That's the thing. My husband and my mum and dad, they feel comfortable in the clothes that they're in. And they can't understand how I can't feel comfortable in those clothes. But I feel constrained. I just don't like feeling constrained by anything. To me, I'd like, I'm kind of like that kid that, when you twirl round and round and round. Yeah. And just you make yourself kind of dizzy and then you just stop. But yeah, that's how I want my clothes to be. Yeah. It's like just twirly and flowy and all that sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, no, they're annoying. They're so annoying because they just walk out and they just look brilliant, and I'm just like behind them going, yeah, whatever. I just rely on my brain now. It's a little better.
Your beautiful smile.
Yeah. And the one where if somebody gives you some grief, you've got a quick comeback normally.
Yeah.
Which starts off with, it's funny because that quick comeback starts with a look, which is something that I learned from somebody being judgmental. Yeah. Which was, when they look you up and down, they go like that and they go. Yeah. That sort of look. Yeah. And I took that look on, and instead of being judgmental, I just used the look, and that stops people dead. Yeah. Because they just sort of like, oh, I'm being judged. Oh, I have to, and they start straightening themselves up and, oh, right, and what are you looking at me like that? And it's like, what would make you think that I was? But, you're given that look, which obviously is conveying something. And
doesn't that just show you as well, though, that you don't need to speak to communicate?
No. Oh, God, no.
Because that with my kids, the death stare. They'd be like, oh, mum means business. Or you can change the tone of your voice, of course, and all of that. But, just a look can do it.
Caroline, my mum is 71. She still does it to me. Yeah. Right? You would think she would give it. I mean, now she kind of gets up and I look back at her and I go, really? And she goes, well, and and then she throws it like one of those stroppy fits and I'm like, I'll give up. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing conversations with my mum as well because she's incredibly learnable.
I love that. Yeah, she is.
So and it's I don't look at my mum as that sort of like, some people have got their mum as their best friend, some people have got their mum as like on a pedestal or anything. My mum is not like that with me because we're really lucky because we were born from a family where it's called to be born with your cap on, and that's that you have skills or abilities. That you're born with natural talents and abilities that are in the unseen world, and about the unseen world. But what you're saying about communication, 98% of our communication isn't verbal. No. It's body language, it's what we pick up in each other's toroidal fields, it's you know, the miasms that we are, and the whole load of other stuff that goes on as well. And we can track stuff back to people's past as well. That's why, you know, we talk about words and how important they are, you know, because we haven't been taught words properly.
No.
You know, we don't have a language to describe spirit really in its fullest. But one of the things that really annoys me, there's not many things that annoy me, because normally I just go, yeah, whatever, and I go my own way. But this one really did. About 15 to 20 years ago, all of a sudden the word empathic got changed to empathetic. And I just went, what? Excuse me?
Yeah.
You know, it's not empathetic.
Pathetic.
And it's a deliberate thing that's been put into the language. And especially for those who are empaths. And I got really riled about it. And there's a few other people that I know, and we all feel the same about it, because when we broke the word down, we then saw what had been done to us, you know, and then everybody's using it. All of a sudden, everybody uses it as, oh, you're empathetic. No, I'm not. I'm empathic, you know, and you have to really track it back. But if anybody's watching, go check out what the difference is between empathetic and empathic.
There's a lot of etymology. Difference. I've learned a lot over the past 18 months, 2 years even, of the way that the language has been twisted and used, and more all the time. I remember you saying one day about we were having a conversation, I think, and you said, what was it? Information.
Yeah, it's just information.
In formation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it just that little twist of that, and that's what has been done, isn't it? Things have been used and twisted, contorted. You explain it a different way to me. But
it's spell casting. So yeah, they've deliberately done it from schools, from the indoctrination at schools, you know, and still. Yeah, and no disrespect to teachers, because teachers have been taught to think this way.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's the same from, you know, in the all of the systems that have, you know, that have been controlled, haven't they? The way they're going into that. That's the one I found out the other day. Is system means sewer. Oh, does it?
Yeah, it means
sewer.
Oh, wow! And I'm starting to go, well, that explains a lot.
Yeah,
you know?
It does.
So,
it does.
It was Gary of the House Fraun that had said it. And I just went, oh, that one I've really got to dig into. I haven't dug into it yet, but his information is absolutely gold. You know, it's really good. But yeah, he
works with numbers as well, doesn't he? He works out the coding with numbers and gematria.
Yeah. So it's
really clever. Look him. What's his? It's Gary Vaughan, isn't it? If anybody wants to look.
Gary of the House Fraun. It's VRAUGH.
Vaughan.
Is it EN or N?
I'm not sure.
EN, I think.
We can always put a link to him in the video if people want to find out. He's doing some great work, isn't he, at the moment? Yeah,
he's got a book that putting the stopper in the bottle of death, I think it is.
Yeah,
and it's, you know, I'm ordering yours and mine. Now you know what you're getting as a present. Okay?
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, I wasn't going to carry it all the way down with me, so I'm going to order it so that he sends it straight to you. So,
you know.
Oh. But yeah, the friend that I'm coming down to, you know, she's already bought it, so it was like, well, really?
Oh.
So because I think they're cracking books to give, because it can help. I mean, somebody might have it as a coffee table book and never pick it up. That's their choice, but at least the opportunity's there.
Yeah, but that's the thing with all books, though, that they all should be coffee table books, really, because that's the way we're supposed to read, isn't it? Like we were saying about the grasshopper and the synchronicities and signs. You can pick a book up and just scroll to a page. That's what you're meant to see.
Yeah.
That's what you're meant to read. It's not always a cover to cover. Obviously, if you're reading a story, you know, whatever, you know, or biography, whatever. But you know, if to pick, it's either for like a directory of, you know, that you need to look something up for the information, or you just get, you know, you pick it up. Okay, what do I need to know? Yeah. You know, or you'll see something or whatever.
You know, I've got the magical bookcase.
Yeah.
Here, you know, so it's got loads of magical books in it, and very, very rarely have I read those books from cover to cover, because I don't need to, because I know what's in the book whenever I bought it. And then what I do is I use them as reference. So I literally ask Quantum and say, right, okay, I need to know blah blah blah. show me which page it's on, and I open the book at exactly the page, and it will give me exactly what I need.
Mm.
I never have to actually go and read the book, which
And
sounds
you can just
terrible,
put it on your
but
nightstand as well, can't you? You can just put
yeah,
it on your side table.
yeah,
And everything's energetic and all of that, you know, and where there's, you know, the unseen is being filtered by, you know, and we're absorbing that, or be, you know, perhaps not even in the body for a portion of the night, or
I've got to
you
admit,
know,
new books I put on underneath my bed or
yeah,
underneath my pillow,
yeah,
and I leave them there for about a week, you
mm,
know, and then whenever I come to read certain parts, I go, yeah, got that bit, got that bit, got that bit, you know, and it's a different way of reading books, and it means that you take out of it exactly what you need, because sometimes there's a lost in translation in a
yeah,
book.
yeah,
It's the same as text messaging, you know, somebody can
an
message,
email,
text you, yeah, email's the same,
yeah,
and you take it the wrong way
because
because
you don't know the
haven't got the
intention,
syntax and everything else that's in the
yeah,
voice. So, you know, like we said about different ways of how to pick up things, the voice is only 2%. There's all these other ways that we pick up all that information, and there's no difference with emails. I mean, I always have that thing of, I love it when people say, I put a post up on Facebook, you know, and I go, well, good for you, and they go, well, haven't you seen it? And I go, I don't live on Facebook, you know.
yeah,
If it's that important, pick up the phone and tell me. You know, if it's not that important, then don't worry about it. Why are you getting? But people have this thing of like, see me, see me, see me. Like they've never been seen before. I think that's, we were talking about that inner wound, if you like, is that they've not been seen, and that's, you know, Facebook's really sort of fed into that of see me. You know, I'm here. See me. Look, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, needing that external validation.
Yeah,
you know, I've done it myself. You know, I really
yeah.
have, you know, and we're going back to the judgments and stuff. I've been my own harshest critic, my own harshest judge, you know, would pull myself up on, think, you know, it's me, and it, you know, it's all to do with self-worth and all of that, isn't it? But
you also do that thing of like, why did I do that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Usually pretty quickly, about 2 minutes. Oh my God, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we do give ourselves the worst punishments for it as well.
yeah, yeah,
You know, we
yeah,
put ourselves in exile from ourselves. I mean, how daft is that? That makes
yeah.
no sense to do it, but we
And
do it.
well, you know, there is no. We do want to be seen. We do want to feel held. We do, you know, but at the same time, it's only because of that, the lack of, and the programming of and the trauma responses of things of feeling like we're supposed to do and be and feel a certain way,
Yeah,
or not even really feel at all. It's just get on
yeah,
and keep going, you know, bury it, put it away, you know,
that's. I mean,
and carry
the
on.
sort of extreme of that one is really sort of in mental health and psychiatry. You know,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
not feeling at all. You know,
yeah,
there's lots of drugs that are there to, I very loosely say this, help people.
yeah,
You know, there are, don't get me wrong, there are some people who do need help, you
yeah,
know, and it can be very good for them,
yeah,
but a lot of the time it's to put them on a baseline where they don't feel very much at all,
yeah.
you know, if anything.
I've
And
had I've taken antidepressants,
yeah, and
and it didn't.
it's
They did help for a while, but I ended up just coming off them cold turkey, which I wouldn't recommend anybody does if you're on if you're on antidepressants,
not good.
because they, you know, when I look back at photographs of myself and all of that, it doesn't look like me. And I remember I didn't feel like me, and it was, you know, I had complicated grief after the death of my mum, and because I didn't feel like I was allowed to grieve, and again, it was just pick up and get on. Nobody gave me the
But
tools or the
that's it.
coping mechanisms to say, you
Yeah,
know, this is a massive thing. You need to
it is.
allow yourself to grieve, like you said earlier, permission. You know, I didn't give
That's
myself permission.
No, and the other thing is that the whole society is geared up against that. You know,
Yeah,
you try and get a day off to go to somebody's funeral. I
yeah,
mean, I know some people pull the leg about that one, and you know, oh well, they've attended 17 funerals in a month. You know, was it all their uncle that died? But when you do have a death, and especially if it's a sudden death, you know, people shy away from that word. And it's the one guarantee that you have when you come into being here is that your physical body will pass. Now, whether you believe that everything just stops dead then, or whether you believe that you carry on in some form, or you're reincarnated in some form, that's entirely up to you. That's between you and whoever is beyond you. But at the same time, death has been sanitized away from us. You know, it's the funeral director comes and it used to be that we washed the body down, we shrouded the body.
Well, a coffee table's a coffin table.
That's right.
They used to have it in the middle of the room.
Yeah, and you used to have 2 coins for their eyes as well. You know, and everybody would come in to pay your respects. You know, so they would come in and say hello, and
because it's actually it's a transformative time. I read a beautiful, it is a transition, and you know, the death, and it's like you said earlier, the death and the endings. What comes after that? A new beginning, you know, and I know definitely that, you know, that's what sort of happened for me is, you know, at that the passing of my mum, it completely changed me, changed my world. Everything that I felt about myself, it made me realise where I was. Well, it wasn't until a little bit later, because of I went into overdrive and didn't allow myself to grieve. I've just looked at the clock, it's 11:11 now. And but you know, because it's pick up and get on. But it was a transition. I read a beautiful post that Ute, her name is, on Facebook, and she was talking about, she works with the animals that are passing, but it was this beautiful poem about the transition, and not fearing it and honouring it, and being in the presence of death, if you like, and the transition of that, moving through it and allowing it, and being allowing yourself to feel whatever it is, being present with it. And you know, it's really actually quite beautiful, like, you know, and it is feared. It is feared, you know, that it's the end, and it goes back to what you said earlier, is because you know, we've been taught that this is it.
And I mean, you look back at the ancient ancestors, you know, going way back, who have still got oral traditions, and death is not to be feared. How you die, that's a different story. But death itself is not to be feared. Yes, it's a step into the unknown, but you're doing that, or you should be doing that every day in your own life anyway, in many different ways. You know, when you step into that unknown, it's a mystery. You don't know what's going to happen. You've got no guarantee. You know,
and that's where the fear comes from.
Very much, but we've now been trained to fear everything. You know, it's like wrap us all up in bubble wrap, and maybe we won't get, you know, a hot poker going through the middle of it, you know, because that's what somebody's going to do to prove that even that's not safe. And
even that transition of the pain, or what you would, if you took all the labels off the words and felt it as energy in your body, that, you know, the crying is release, feeling that, and it's love. It's love with nowhere to go is another thing that I've read and heard.
Different cultures have got different ways of doing it. I mean, my biological dad, whenever he passed away, he was married to a woman from Thailand, and I got the nurses came on the phone and said, could we ask you a question? I said, yeah, of course you can. I said, well, why did your stepmom get on top of your dad's body and batter him? And I said, oh, that's because that's what they do in Thailand to get their grief out. You know, and that's how one of their coping mechanisms for it. And they went, well, we're really sorry, but we can't actually show your dad because he's covered in bruises. But they don't show a body, you know, so they don't have the same sort of thing as we do, you know, if you want to view the body sort of thing. And I said, don't worry about it, it's fine, you know, if that's the way that helps her get that out.
It's expression, isn't it?
That's it.
It's expression, and because there's some of the what are they called, the indigenous tribes and stuff like that they will do like dancing ceremonies, won't they, and hold like vigils and stomp on the ground, and you know, and offer them back, and do it's a little bit like in Avatar. Always got a movie analogy, but they do the
part of that one. I still haven't seen the second part yet.
They do, you know, that as someone's going through that transition process, they sing and they sway and they move as one. So they're doing it together and bringing in the new as the life spark, the soul leaves the body.
That's it. And the thing is, if you're watching that from the sidelines, you're gonna, if you're not in tune with the energies that are on around through this earth and the universe, you're going to see it as being completely looped out. You know, and oh well, that's just something that tribal people do. But there is a reason why they do things, you know, and in some respects they're no matter what technologies we have, they are far further ahead than us, you know, and we need to stop being superior about stuff
because they're tuned into the land, they're using the energy, they're moving with the energy and flow, aren't they? You know,
and I haven't found, with most Indigenous peoples, what I've found is that they are lovely, absolutely lovely people. Sometimes a little bit angry, and I get that anger, you know, for what has been done to them over years.
The land,
you know,
and the
not just the land, the children as well, you know, a whole load of stuff like that. But I think they've been incredibly brave to hold their own, hold the position, and that's what they've done. You know, it might have been shrunk down a bit, but they definitely have done it in one way or another. We might not agree with how they've done it, but you know, how would you do it? You know, you think about,
well, we've got no idea. I mean, perhaps maybe in another life, another timeline somewhere, have had that experience in this life. We've really got no idea.
I've got a strange feeling in it, and I could never ever shake this from when I learnt about Romans. And it was one of those of the vast majority of people who will become aware have been at some point at the subjugation of the Roman Empire. You know, and that's been a past life in some form for them. And I see this cropping up time and time again, where there is a line that they just won't let people cross. You know, it's like, if you want to do this, that's fine. If you want to do that, but that bit's too far. No, that's when I push back. You know, and you look at the peoples that the Roman Empire really did subjugate. You know, most people don't know that Romania was actually called Dacia. You know, Dacia was incredibly wealthy, had loads of gold. What did the Romans do? Oh, we'll go and take that one, and we'll rename it, and we'll be really original about it and call it Romania. That took a long time to come up with, didn't it? You know? So, you know,
well, again, it's the language and things that have been hidden and all of that. How let's just bring that back into present time then, with holding position. So how can we maybe talk about that so that that maybe might be supportive for people right now?
It depends on which way you want to do it. There are many routes to everything, you know, and no one route is wrong. You will always learn something by it.
It's a personal journey again, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I mean, if you go via, say, natural law, common law, you know, that sort of way, commerce law, and because we're finding out through that everything is really coming under commerce law, and it's how to hold your position in that. It's like, a lot of people don't know that the symbolism is really, really important. So if a judge is in court, and I love this one, even the wording with it, and I came across it a few months ago, and it was Robert from ODIC, you know, Observation Dick. And he's absolutely cracking with his information. He's brilliant. And
the way he puts things, I love his voice. He's got a great voice.
He's got one of those really sort of husky voices, hasn't he? You have this image of how he looks, and then when you see him, you go, okay.
I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him yet. No.
Keep that image in your mind. No, he's a lovely guy. He's lovely. He's really nice.
Well, another one who's doing some really great work for you know, supporting and helping people with, you know, doing it undercover or, you know, in the background for years and years, and now it's immeasurable, isn't it? Really, it's just really helpful.
It is. But he said the one about being in court, and when you're asked to swear, you know, some on the Bible or make an affirmation, have I promised to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
There's a hand gesture that comes to mind there.
So, don't even
I swear,
and it's so help me God, you know, if it's on the Bible, and I think it's so I affirm, you know, if it's an affirmation. And he said you can't, you know, so you can actually, because what the judge is actually saying to you to take the oath is effectively, you know, they're offering a contract. And should you really be taking it? And he came up with the alternative version, which was, well, I think he had it from somebody else who had used it in court and actually, you know, it did work, which was to say, I'm sorry, Your Honour, but I can't possibly say that because I can't tell the whole truth because that's far too big. But what I can do, because instead of just reneging on it or just, you know, saying no, what they did was they turned it around into a negotiation and said, but what I can offer you is to tell my truth, my whole truth, and nothing but my truth. You know, be it so help me God, or, you know, so I do affirm. and the judge took it,
Mm.
you know, because
Yeah.
it's all a negotiation. But
And
that's the thing, we can only tell I do that whenever I stand up in front of people. Look, whatever I'm going to tell you, you can take it on board, you can leave it, it's entirely up to you. I'm not invested in the outcome of it, and neither should you be. But what I'm going to tell you is my truth of where I am in the stepping stone that I am at the moment, you know, and that's as far as, you know, I am. But it's not a linear thing. Everybody thinks of it as, oh, we take the next stepping stone and it takes us forward. It's not. The stepping stones are all over the place, and we might have to go to one that's behind us to then go to one that's two in front of us, you know, and so on and so forth. But people have this thing of like, I mean, you've heard me saying it before, don't follow me, right? And, you know, and whatever you do, don't put anybody up on a pedestal. And as soon as somebody says, I'm your leader, walk the other way. You don't need a leader. You are a leader yourself.
Yeah.
And you're perfectly capable of working things out with another living being and figuring out of how it is in equity with one another. You know, so talking about how to hold your position, one of them is to learn how our language has been used against us, and that takes you into legalese. What we actually kind of speak is legalese, not plain English.
And practically, and it loops beautifully back to the individual journey as well, because we each have, and the opportunities that we're being presented with now, because, you know, I keep describing it as the big light's been switched on, you know, or the light is shining into, you know, wherever we are in our lives.
Have you been in Scottish houses a lot? Because that used to be the thing of like, they always had
such a big light on.
They never had ones at the side. It was always putting a big light on.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And if anybody from Scotland from the 1970s on, you will know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, it's like putting a big light on. You
yeah.
know, it's like,
yeah. Oh, that was a.
It was a harsh light, and they normally didn't have a lampshade round it. It was just like, you know, the bulb.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well, because I live in the south of the country now, I'm northern. I would class myself as northern, but you're even more northern than me because Scotland's higher up. But so we would always say the northern way and put big light on. You'd say that in the Yorkshire accent, and which I don't know why, because I think that's possibly another one of our comedians, you know, Peter Kay or someone like that, would be put big light on, because that's what we did. Yeah, we all did that, and so that, I mean, it's a great. I think a lot of people have done that, but it is a great analogy of, you know, the light has gone on, and things are being shown, and it's also, you know, it's personally within us. We've got things coming up for us that are being purged and released. We've got the opportunity to release and let go of things that no longer serve us, and then we've got the opportunity to stand in our power and to speak our truth and to just be who we are. In, you know, nobody else knows, you know, how I felt at the age of 5, or what I went through, you know, or you know, what experiences I had. Only I know that. Only I know of, or, you know, maybe have unlockings of past lives, or, you know, dreams or whatever. Nobody else has got. It's all so individual, isn't it?
You are a story in your own
right.
Rights being RIGHT, WRITE, and RITE. You know, how many different rights can you get?
Exactly.
But you have chapters that you don't know you're writing at the time when you're in the middle of them, and it's only when you look back. But this is why it's not just his story, it's her story as well.
Yeah.
Because we all have that story.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be the same. Even if it's exactly, you know, peas in a pod, you've grown up exactly the same. It's never going to be the same, because how you interpret the world is down to you.
Exactly.
You know, that's the unique being you are.
We do a lot of musical theatre. We're a very musical theatre family, our family, and just love it. And recently, my youngest daughter, took me as a surprise to go and see Six, the musical, and it's a modern musical, but it's based on the Henry VIII's wives. And with you just saying about there's actually a song, and it's called they sing it. It's called Six. And they sing it at the end because it's very cleverly written, that it basically is saying that, you know, the only reason that Henry VIII is known the way that he is because of his wives. Because they only know, we know him, that he had 6 wives. We know a little bit about each one, but they sort of tell the story of these 6 wives, and they do it as like a competition of you know, who was treated the worst, or whatever. You know, it's very clever, beautiful songs. It's I just love it, but I love all of that sort of stuff. So It's amazing. But yeah, and they actually say too many years lost in his story.
Yeah.
And that, it gives me goosebumps when I say it, because it's that, you know, the wives got lost in his story, but actually his story was only his story because of them.
Yeah, and not only that, it's whoever wrote his story down as well.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, how
Yeah.
many other people that were around at that time who had a far more fascinating story, not that his wasn't fascinating, but you know, that never got written down, so nobody knows.
Yeah.
You know, this is why the oral traditions of passing stories on, passing forward, are so important. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And what's another thing that's being repressed at the moment is that the storytelling, the theatres,
yeah.
the, you know, the creative pursuits,
the bards.
All of it, you know, is being repressed and controlled. And you know,
I told you last night I was at yoga, and our yogi has you know, she likes telling stories, and there's a story that I've heard before about how all the elements were in a car and going along, sort of thing. And I turned myself around on my mat, and I did that thing of like being like on my chin like this, with my legs up in the air, just listening to her, you know, on my tummy, sort of thing. And it's like being a kid, I love listening, and I whether it's a homeless person that I'm sitting down next to, I want to hear their story. You know, my story is, as far as I'm concerned, not particularly interesting. You know, other people might find it interesting, but I don't.
Oh, I
do. But I listen to hear people. I don't listen to respond. You know, and I think that bit's been lost somewhere along the line. You know, we've been taught to listen to respond, rather than to just sit and listen to someone to hear what they've got to say. You know, and it's incredibly important.
Holding space. Yeah. That's sort of what we're, you know, you and I as practitioners are doing, is holding a container, holding a safe space for people to just come and be them. And
can we make a point here? We're practitioners on ourselves, not on other people.
Yeah.
So we practice on ourselves. We don't practice on others.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
And hold space for them to do the same.
Yeah, that's it.
That's basically. I was going to say that about hypnotherapy earlier, because I mean, the therapy is another word that I've you know, learned of, you know, the way that you can split that up, and the raping, the rape.
Therapist is the rapist.
The rapist, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a bit. It gives you a bit of a judder,
we've just got a whole load of therapists going, what?
Oh my God! I know.
I did it. Saying that, what we're saying is that the word has been used against you.
Yeah, I did exactly the same when I found out that. So that's why I will call it hypno healing now. But when we work with people in that way, I always say to whoever you know is sitting with me, I don't even say like I'm working with them, because all I do is hold the space for them to relax, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier about permission, giving themselves permission to go into a deep relaxation so that they can connect to their subconscious mind, their highest self, whatever it is that they need in that moment, and they're doing the work, you know. I'm just literally helping them relax. That's it.
Instead of putting it as that I'm working with them, I'm walking with them.
Yes.
That's how I put it to my clients.
Yeah, beautiful.
I walk alongside you for however many steps you need me, and then you go off on your own,
walking each other home.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had the thing of like, I don't want repeat customers, and everybody looks at me really strangely. I said, you know, if I get repeat customers, I'm not doing a job properly. And it's not a job. It's not even a vacation. I play all day. It's fab. I don't go to work. You know, I worked it out with Jeff. The last day I had off, you know, when you have a day off, was 2018. And that's because I wake up in the morning, and even if I'm having a bad day and I'm not really that well, I will still find time to do something, even if it's jotting down ideas for things. And so I never really have a day off, because I don't need a day off. It's like people saying, "Oh, I can't wait for my holiday." Why do you need a holiday from your life?
Yeah.
You know, I love what I do, and it's not because I'm doing it, it's because I'm there to watch and be witness to people expanding themselves, to, you know, uncovering things within themselves, those abilities, those natural talents that they have that have been pushed down and shunned, and, you know, and they all of a sudden they bring them to the fore, and they realize that sort of power that they have, you know, but that is then the self-responsibility that comes with that. You know, you can't just go off on a tangent and say, right, okay, I'm going to rule the world, you know, like Pope Boniface said in 1302, you know, I own the world. You know, fantastic. That was awfully nice of him. Yeah. You know. Cheers then. Yeah, there's been a few of them who said, I am emperor of the world. It's like, okay, right, which one's better? King, Pope, Emperor, you know. But yeah, it's that thing of people being able to, like you said, be themselves, and then they don't know themselves because they've never actually looked at themselves, you know. And it makes me laugh when I get somebody, you can tell the huge ego that's there, and I'm not having a go at them, you know, because we all at some point need our egos, you know, and our egos do a
the
good
egos
job for
protect us, haven't they? You know, they've
Exactly,
protected
yeah.
us and they've kept us safe when we've
It
needed
does.
it.
Yeah, exactly what it does. But you know the people who let their ego become very inflated, you know, they say, I know myself and I know, and you're like, really? Do you?
Well, when you look at that, is, you know, what are you afraid of? Why, you know, why do they need the ego, so, you know, to hold on to the ego so much? And that's another opportunity that we've got now, isn't it? Is to you know, release those attachments to the things that have kept us safe, and be okay in the unknowing of things, because and that transition as well of, you know, we're almost dying to ourselves right now with the energies and stuff, you know, of everything that we've known. Everything's upside down, there's chaos, there's conflict, there's polarity, but in all of that, I did a video about this the other day. There's an opportunity, to let go and let God, if you like, you know. And even, you know, we spoke about this yesterday with the, you know, God being, because it's been put in the religion box and it's supposed to look and be this certain way. You know, it's just be who you are.
Big guy in the clouds, long white beard.
And
that, or Alanis Morissette, if you watched it.
Yeah.
You know. But God for you is whoever you want God to be.
Yeah.
You know, it's entirely down to you. I mean, to me, it's more about, are you a good living woman or a good living man?
Yeah.
You know, do you mean good or do you mean harm? You know, even unwitting harm. You know, it's fair enough if you haven't had the information, but in this day and age, with the age of information that we're in, people have got a thing that is even more important or far bigger than the Alexandra Library in the palm of their hand. They can really go and research anything they want to, but they have got to, because even if you go into a library, you will be faced with books that don't tell you the full truth or don't actually tell you the truth at all. There's just one kernel of truth inside that book, and it's down to us to disseminate it, you know. And if we live in fear, we're always going to see it through, you know, a perspective, or through spectacles, if you like. They're not rose tinted, you know, that through fear they're going to be, you know, black basically. So we're not going to see really very much. When we open ourselves up to all sorts of things, then that's when the world opens up for us, you know. And then it says, okay, you know, you can step through this. It might be right, it might be wrong, but, you know, let's go take a look and let's give it a go.
And being present with, and you know, conscious, doing things consciously. That's what I learned. The most valuable thing over the past few years is becoming conscious of what you're doing. You know, connecting with the things that you do, and becoming, because we all do things so absent-mindedly. You know, when we're juggling all of our stuff and this, that, and the other, and it does take us away from that connection of our own hearts, our own space. Like you said, looking in the mirror and actually looking at yourself. You know, that can be the most difficult thing to do, but you know, there's a connection there with parts of yourself that you don't even realize are there, because it's almost like you're looking in a blank stare. Or do I look all right? Yeah, right, I'm on my way. You know, rather than really connecting in the present and being with yourself, being, you know, even in we do a lovely shower meditation, and just, you know, feeling the water on your skin.
Oh, I love that.
Well, you're a water sign, aren't you? You know, you're a water element.
Best ideas come in the shower in the morning, whenever I've stood there just letting it flow over me, enjoying the water, thanking it for what it does for me,
beautiful.
knowing that it's all working together perfectly, you know. That's some of the best times that you have.
And
know,
even
swimming.
I said to Sarah, actually, when we were, and I've said it to lots of people before, because I've had an accident myself. So, but to appreciate your body, you know, because I've got scars on this arm now, and it was only sort of as it was healing, and you know, doing like rubbing and all of that, and then it's like, actually, you know, no, you need, your body's your vessel. you know, and it's your temple, some would say, and it doesn't mean that you need to go on a big fitness binge and this, that, and the other, but just have appreciation and gratitude for yourself and your, you know.
Yeah, you know my idea about going on fitness
Yeah,
binges.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, I'll see you later. I'll be sat here with a cup of tea waiting for you, because
Exactly.
I'll
Well,
be
what?
exercising the muscle that is my brain.
Yeah. But again, whatever's right for you. You know, some
Yeah.
people love running, some people love yoga, some people would prefer to lie on the mat and listen to a nice story.
Yes. I actually fell asleep at yoga as well. That did me well.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
But what you said about being in that present moment, it's at the same time it's being on that adventure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
although you're in that moment, you're still on an adventure.
Yeah.
And I had it ages ago where we kind of play games whenever we're doing things in Druidry. And one was that we do like a quick fire question, and it's in the middle of something else that we're doing, so you don't get a chance to think about it. It's just your automatic reaction sort of thing. And the question came to me of what age will you live to, and I went 347, and I have no idea where that came from. And somebody asked me about it afterwards and said, well, what are you going to do for like 300 odd years that you've still got to go, And I said, well, the last 150 of them I want to saunter the earth. And they went, oh, so you're going to go walking? I said, no, I don't want to walk. I don't want to hike. I don't want to, go from point A to point B. I literally just want to take one step at a time and soak up everything that's there, and if I want to sit down at the side of a road or in a field or whatever, under a tree, and have a little bit of cheese and, a little bit of bread, or, hopefully a cup of tea if I can get a hold of one, then that's what I do. If there are berries. Yeah. If there are berries on the bushes, then I eat them as I go past. But I don't take a lot. I just take as many as I can hold in my hand to feed me, and just really just enjoy it. Just saunter the earth and meet different people, try different food, see how they feel to me. I can go off different cultures, and I've been to different cultures around the world, but and I've also met people from different cultures, in other countries, from different places, and everybody feels different, and I don't think we take the time with one another to feel. I know that sounds terrible, doesn't it? But to feel one another energetically. Yeah, come here, no, just to feel you for a minute. Stand in my toroidal field so I can feel you. Yeah,
hold your position. Hold your position while I feel you.
That's one for a t-shirt, isn't it? Stand in my toroidal field and hold your position while I feel you. That's somebody's going to come out with that.
Oh my God, we've got a whole franchise going on now.
Yeah. It is that thing of literally feeling someone, and how they are, the good and the bad that is in them.
But we do have that naturally. It's just that, again, we've not paid attention to it, because if you're in a room and somebody walks in and they've got something about them, you don't know what it is, and you might not. Yeah, well, either that you need to stay away, or if they come into your toroidal field, and I'll get my my visual aids out at another time. But
this is a really good conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, you come and feel me, and your visual aids, your little toys. This isn't bad for a first conversation.
It's not. We're doing good, Nuin. We're doing good. We got a whole merchandise sorted out and everything. Got a franchise, new businesses. We're stepping forward with the grasshopper. It's all good.
Grasshopper. The thing is, you've got to have a laugh about these things, because people get too serious about stuff, whether it be religion, faith, even New Age communities, Love and Light Brigade, all that sort of thing. They get way too serious, and it's like one of those of like, laugh at yourself. You will always find something to laugh about when you laugh at yourself. And when you can laugh at yourself, then you can allow others to laugh at you too. And as long as it's not done,
I'm quite glad about that, because everyone's laughing around me all the time.
So you start getting paranoid about it.
They got no choice. Yeah, they got no choice, because I'm just a little bit bonkers.
Yeah, it's something that's really come up in the past couple of days with all these transitions that are going, planetary transitions and things. And yesterday and today, my mum has done nothing but laugh. And she's been taking the mick out of my dad, and my dad's been doing the same with her, and doing that sort of like really simple things, nothing major, just really simple things. And then we've both had it today, so there must be there's another sort of like kick in the tail sort of thing. we've both had arguments with our other halves, you know, my mum
Wow.
and my dad, and me with my respective other half. And it's one of those of like, you know, you're just not getting this, you know. And
Mm.
it was from the female side to the male side.
Mm.
You know, we were getting annoyed by them.
Mm.
And had they not treated us properly, well, actually, they hadn't done anything different to how they would normally do things. But it was how they normally do things was the crux of the matter where it wasn't going quite right.
Mm.
And that, you know, that's what kind of got brought to the fore.
Mm.
But the funny thing was,
An opportunity.
Well, when Mum and I were relaying it to one another, you know, because we walk the dogs at night, as you know, and we were relaying the stories to one another as we're going along, and she's laughing about it, about how she reacted to my dad, and I was laughing about how I reacted, you know, to my husband, and she said, "This is ridiculous," you know. They don't actually mean any harm, although they can do harm with it, which you know, my husband did, but and it was more the disappointment that I felt. You know, that was the bit was, and then I had to take a step back and go, right, okay, are you disappointed in him, or are you disappointed in yourself for expecting something from him that he doesn't feel that he can do, you know? And yeah, and it's not letting him off the hook, definitely not. I mean, you've met Jeff, so you know he doesn't get off the hook that easy.
Yeah,
So.
but it's also it's we're learning new ways to communicate, aren't we? Because we have all been in that reactive mode, in the trauma response, in the reaction, and you know, we're all unlearning and relearning. How do we communicate? How do we express ourselves? How do we, you know, how do we do all of that? You know, I've definitely, with everything that's happened over the past few years, the past 3 years in particular, I've been through a lot in my life. You know, I've moved through a lot of transitions and releasing and letting go and traumas, and oh my God. But it's been that thing of learning, of learning how to respond rather than react. And you know, and when you are in that, because everybody's got some sort of wounding, or we go into the, you know, the victim, you know, feeling like the victim of what they've done to us, or whatever.
We get really comfortable in that position as well.
Yes,
like Rita Hayworth, oh my Lord, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And playing the victim is a really good one. It's the same as playing the sick role. We get into that very quickly, you know.
But quite often it's because we've got used to that being the way that we get attention, the way that we get the response that we want, even if you were, you know, it's not, you know, it's actually causing more harm than good. At least it's something.
I went wrong somewhere then, because I just never got that. You know, I've never really played the victim as such, you know, and I've never done the woe is me bit. I have to myself. You know, I have done that thing of looking in the mirror and going, right, how have you ended up in this situation?
I think there's a difference in playing the victim, and being a victim.
Yeah, I think
because there are those that have been the victim of some terrible, abusive, appalling behaviour. But I think, you know, that playing the victim because, or you know, like you say, and I've said before, being comfortable in your discomfort of you know, of being the victim of, because it's easier than, and to have others make choices and decisions for you, or even to be triggered. Is sometimes
you call it, it's when things feel crunchy. When things feel crunchy, and you're right, because they're dissonant. You know, those frequencies are dissonant for us, and it's like, and you kind of the itch that you can't get rid of. But you don't get rid of it until you actually face it and go, do you know, what are you? What is it that's causing this itch? Where does that come from? And don't go for the symptom, go for the root cause. Because when you go for the root cause, then you can deal with it. All too often, you know, whether it be allopathic medicine or, you know, a whole heap of other things, people skirt around the scenic route, you know, and they don't get to the real crux of it, you know. And I mean, some people
you call the linchpin, you say, don't you?
Yeah, the linchpin. Yeah, because when you get the linchpin, you take that out, everything just goes poof, and it all then falls into. Because
I always imagine a tent collapsing when you say that.
Yeah. Well, you're not getting rid of anything. I mean, you let go of what no longer serves you, so you might not need guy ropes, but you can still tie them up and put them in the bag for later, because you might need them in the future, but you don't have to focus and place your attention on them. But that thing of it just literally going is you transfiguring things. So you've transmuted it by seeing it and saying, okay, I can make this small. Because normally what we've done is we made a molehill into a mountain in front of us. So we transmute it, and then we transfigure it, and transfiguring it is taking the tent down and going, okay, here are the bits and the parts, but I can build something else out of that. And then that's what we do. We transform it into a palace. You know, we used to say, well, we're going to create, you know, and co-create with ourselves.
Yeah.
But people are too quick to sort of like, I think people, like you said, that there's that liking of being in a victim role as well.
Well, that's similar to the ego, isn't it? Because it's safe. You know, I've used the analogy before in my own life with it, you know, in some of my relationships of, you know, being at the bottom of a hole. And, you know, we've all been there. We've all been in the dark. We've all been in the hole at certain points of our life. But, you know, a beautiful friend of mine also describes it as as being in the basement. And there are stairs to the basement, and there's a door at the top of the stairs. But it's while you're in the basement and the light's off and you can't see, you know, it's you know, like she would describe it as, you know, we've found the stairs and we're halfway up, but there's somebody else who's actually on the other side of the door, and they're already, you know, and they've been holding it open for ages, going, we're here, you know, and that's a good analogy again of the path that we're all on. We're all going the same way. It's just that some can't see it yet. Some can't see the stairs.
Blind.
Yeah.
The sort of hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil sort of thing. You know, we do that as well, where we deliberately shut ourselves off from things. And sometimes that's because we've, you know, like, you know, sometimes there's a gender bias associated to it. It'll be a good little boy or be a good little girl. And we don't want to disappoint anybody, you know. But at the end of the day, it's actually, you know, when you live in your own truth, it's very difficult to disappoint people. You know, and and whether it's a true disappointment or not, you know, and I love the fact that it's got meant at the end of it, because that's, you know, Latin mens meaning mind. So you know, it's your own mind that's doing that. You know, so whenever I'm disappointed in Jeff, you know, I'm going to sit there and go, well, it's my own mind that's actually has the disappoint part. And
it's actually, you know, it's you that's feeling that crunchiness in your body. He hasn't done anything to deliberately do something to you.
No, but it was actually that thing whenever it happened, I just sat there and I went, what, really? Did I marry you? You know, so it's like, you know, you question everything all the way back. You know, it's like, how did we get together again? What's it about you?
Oh God!
You know, we go through everything. You know, but it's
but,
you know it.
But then going away, having a breathe, having a chat about it, laughing about it, like we said, and being able to come back. You know, you've released whatever that was. You've recognised what it is within you, and then, you know, this is just a little bit of coaching guidance, because, you know, we all go through the same thing, don't we? You know, with any relationship, it might be your husband or wife, or, you know, it might be a work colleague, it might be your children or whatever. You know, we have those crunchy moments, we have those things where you're like, what the F, you know, really? And you know, but we, again, you know, when we realise and recognise, okay, well, you know, I love this person. I love you. And I want a relationship with you. I want to be in a relationship with you. So I'm going to recognise what this is for me, what this is doing for me. And then, you know, even if you just need to go away, have a breather, come back and then find that new way to recommunicate with each other.
But we found that way of being. It wasn't as if somebody sat there and told us, like, oh, try this. You know, we've done it by trial and error. And I think a lot of people do find it by trial and error. You know, it's because it's that kind of, it's that adventure that we go on, you know, and we meet many different people on. I mean, I've been married before. It didn't work out particularly well. Nothing against him, you know, but it just didn't work out well. And it wasn't right, in effect. You know, it didn't have that sort of, it did have a resonance to begin with, but what basis that was on is questionable, shall we say. But yeah, then you go through these different relationships, short and long-term ones. And as you put it so politely, the slut phase that you go through, you know, which, you know,
Nuin.
I'll listen, people have to realise
It's
that
all
being
good.
honest means being honest.
It
It's doing
does.
your shadow work.
It does.
And that means not judging one another based on what
There are
we
many of us who have had a slut phase.
yeah. And many men who have done it as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Many of us.
Yeah. Oh
It doesn't really matter what, whatever you
But,
choose. It's
yeah.
all good. It's all
But
adventure and play, isn't
it's
it?
getting to that sort of, and it's not even
Self-discovery.
because I don't know whether Jeff and I are going to continue to be together, or whether that's going to be for the rest of his life or the rest of my life or whatever. The whole point is that you're on that journey, you're on that adventure, and it has its ups and downs, and and sometimes the downs are really, really down, and sometimes they're the highs are really, really high. But at the end of the day, it's how we do that adventure that is incredibly important. So, talking to Jeff, he's just bring me a cup of tea now.
Oh, see, that's so lovely. So perhaps then, because so that we're not going on for too long, that might be a really nice, nice time to sort of wind things up, and just with any little nuggets or pearls of wisdom before we go to leave our lovely viewers with.
Ooh. At the moment,
we've covered quite a lot, mind.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, but it's what's the date today? The 6th of October, 2021.
Nearly the 7th.
So what I would say is at the moment, for how things are going with the hoo-ha and everything else, is be kind, and I mean that sincerely, not just to put it up on Facebook, but be kind to yourself, both the small s and the big S self. Because if you're not kind to yourself, how can you be kind to others? And that's the thing, is really sort of take that with you. And
the resonance, bring yourself into what resonates, what feels good for you, and having compassion for others, because we don't know what another's journey is. So the kindness and self-care, kind to yourself, gentle with yourself as well, because we're moving through a lot right now, and the energies are intense, and they can knock you off your feet one day or another. So it is being recognizing those, what you're feeling in your own body, what we've just been talking about in your relationships, those triggers, what's this bringing up for me? And it is absolutely kindness to yourself, compassion.
The last thing is always play in puddles.
Yes. Oh, did you? That's my kids. They used to watch Peppa Pig, and it was like, it says, "Oh, Peppa loves playing in muddy puddles." So yeah, I love that. That's perfect. Thanks so much, Nuin. Peppa Pig, I have to show you. Oh, there's a whole song. I could sing you some lovely songs from Peppa Pig. It's great. Ingrained in my memory. She sings a lovely one about Big Balloon. You would love it, actually. Bigger than the sun and moon.
Oh, I can see this is going to be a learning curve whenever I come down.
So thanks so much. It's been a gorgeous conversation, and we need to say where we are, don't we? So if people want to find us for anything or whatever, so do you want to go and say where you are?
At this precise moment in time, we're still on Telegram, but we are building the website at the moment, which will be hearthetreefall.com. But you can find us on Telegram. We've got broadcast channels for Hear the Tree Fall and for the leafings. So, and I'll be doing a video on YouTube, because we've got a Hear the Tree Fall channel on YouTube as well, and we'll be doing one to explain what the leafings are.
Yeah, and you're going to be having different chats with other people
and
than me as well, aren't you?
So the two of us can have a chat with somebody, and then they only have to do it once rather than doing it over and over again. It'd be lovely. But with so much information, it's an important thing to do. So. And I just hope that everybody's really enjoyed, listening to us waffle with each other.
Well, I only learned a few months ago that you can even fast forward the videos, can't you? You can listen to them high speed.
Feel free to fast forward us.
Get the old Minnie Mouse going. So my website is heartsconnection.love, and we are also, we've got a lovely little community chat on Telegram, and we link in with Hear the Tree Fall as well. So Just beautiful people and places that you can find us. But the main one for me is the website at the moment, and the YouTube channel, of course. So we've got my old YouTube channel is Kaz Kelly.
Yeah, say that when you're drunk.
I know. Blah, blah, blah. And we've just set up the ones for these Hearts Connected Conversations, which is Hearts Connection. So you can find us there, and we'll put all of anybody that we've mentioned or whatever, we'll make sure we've got in the description below, with links to our groups and our websites and all of that. And
Cool.
Move with us as we develop. Yeah.
Growth and expand.
Growth and expand. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. So I'm going to
Right,
stop
blessings.
recording now.
Mwah.
Lots of love. Mwah.